Alright, let's get down to business and finish the story. Yep, it's Empathy, Chapter 29, Preparation. Let's go, everybody, let's read. After taking the data drive, Hiro plugged it into his computer, which brought up a video player as it automatically began playing the single video file on the drive. As the group huddled around the computer screen, they were once again greeted by the footage from the security cameras in the Akuma Island military base. "What's this?" Riley questioned, furrowing her brow in confusion. "We found Callaghan holed up in this abandoned military base on Akuma Island," Hiro explained. "Turns out KreiTech had been working with the government on some sort of top-secret experiment. Project Silent Sparrow," Fred added with a dramatically ominous tone. "What kind of experiment?" Tip asked with a quirked eyebrow. "Teleportation or wormholes or something else like that," Gogo elaborated. "They had these two giant... gates, I guess, set up so that if you step through one, you come out the other, regardless of where they were in relation to one another. At least that was the idea." "What happened?" Riley inquired. "They were doing their first live human experiment," Honey answered. "But something went wrong. The gate took the pilot somewhere else." "That doesn't sound good," Fear commented. "Where?" Riley pushed. "If I had to take a guess, I'd say the Boov home world," Fred replied. "You're joking," Tip stated in shock. "What happened then?" "The pilot was captured before she could get back to the portal," Wasabi elaborated. "The general in charge of the program forced him to close the portal and shut the whole thing down." "That poor person," Sadness said. "That's awful," Riley stated before her brow knitted together. "But what does any of that have to do with Professor Callaghan?" "Don't know," Gogo admitted with a shrug before indicating to the computer. "We got interrupted before we could finish watching the footage. We're hoping that watching the rest will tell us more." Turning their attention back to the computer screen, the group watched as Hiro hit a button and the video resumed playing. "You almost got us all killed!" General Monger snarled as he pointed an accusatory finger at Alistair Kray. "Kray!" A voice roared as a man came charging in from off-screen, forcing General Monger and his entourage to intercept him before he could get to Kray, wrestling with him as he continued to reach for the businessman. "You did this! You knew it wasn't ready!" Pressing a button, Hiro froze the video feed, allowing the group to get a better look at the man. "Callaghan?" Hiro questioned in surprise, his eyes widening as he recognized the man's face. "He was there?" "What?" Joy questioned in shock. "He was such a good man," Honey mused, a look of pain on her face. "What happened?" "I don't know," Hiro replied with a shake of his head. "But the answer is here somewhere." Pulling up all the feeds, Hiro began to rewind the footage back to the beginning. As he did, Riley's eyes widened as she spotted something. Wait, stop!" Riley exclaimed, causing Hiro to jump in surprise before he paused the footage. "Look," Riley said as she indicated towards one of the feeds. "There he is." Hiro zoomed in on the feed, displaying the now still image of Callaghan talking with the pilot, who he recalled was named Abigail. "He's with the pilot," Hiro observed as he began playing the footage again, and watched as Callaghan pulled Abigail into a hug, which caused the boy's brow to furrow in confusion. "Hold on," Hiro muttered as an idea came to him. Changing to the feed that displayed the inside of the pod, Hiro fast-forwarded the footage until he reached the point where Abigail entered the cockpit. Pausing the footage again, Hiro zoomed in to get a better look at the side of Abigail's helmet, revealing the word Callaghan written there in black blocky letters. Oh no. The pilot is Callaghan's daughter, Riley whispered in shock. So is this, what, some kind of revenge story? Tip questioned, her mind racing. No, Fred muttered with a shake of his head. It's more than that. There was a pause as everyone turned their attentions towards Fred, who rapidly glanced between their faces. What? Fred asked in confusion before he gestured at the computer screen. Don't you guys see it? The blank looks he received told him everything he needed to know. We didn't see Abigail die in the other footage, Fred explained. It looked like she was taken by something. The Gorg, I'm guessing. The Gorg? Riley questioned. The leader of the Booth. Though I'm pretty sure he's not one himself, Fred explained. If I could sum this guy up in 2 words, they'd be bad news. That or Galactic Conqueror. Speaking of the Booth, where is O? Tip questioned as she glanced around. Kidnapped, Fred answered before pausing as he thought something over. Boovnapped. Anyway, the Gorg and his toady, another booth named Smek, took him during the fight. They probably need him to help rebuild the gate. Fantastic, Tip commented dryly. But what would an alien warlord want with Callaghan's daughter? He's holding her hostage, Fred stated with a nod. It's the only reason I can think of that would get Callaghan to work with this guy. But if he's holding her hostage, that means Callaghan is something the Gorg wants, Wasabi pondered aloud. What could he possibly have that the Gorg wants? Who knows? Hiro replied with a shrug before a look of determination arrived across his features. But I know what the Gorg needs. What's that? Honey questioned. A power source, Hiro explained. O and Smek might know how to fix the portal, but they're going to need enough energy to power it. Tearing a hole of the fabric of space and time? Wasabi questioned. That's going to take a lot of power. I know it says the fabric of space there, but I'm just saying the fabric of space-time because it sounds more dramatic. But where could they get that much power? Gogo asked. Think about it, Hiro urged them. What's the one place in town that has enough high-tech equipment that they need the amount of power that Callaghan and the Gorg would be looking for? KreiTech, Honey answered with dawning realization. Riley suddenly let out a sharp gasp, and the others didn't need the brief, uncontrolled wave of fear that washed off of the girl to know what she was thinking. Dad, Riley whispered as she covered her mouth with her hands. A look of terror plastered across her features. Oh, that's right! In this story, Riley's dad is a member of KreiTech, an employee. I almost forgot. Meanwhile, the rising sun shone brightly down onto the high-tech campus of KreiTech, glittering off the polished walls and the windows, and the white-colored walls. Numerous people were making their way between the buildings, and the parking lots were full of commuter cars. Among them was the Anderson family car, which Bill was just stepping out of, his cell phone pressed to his ear. I know, honey, I know. Bill stated with a sigh as he closed his car door behind him and remotely locked the vehicle. But just because he got kidnapped doesn't mean I don't have to come into work today. I understand, Jill sighed from over the phone. It's just, I don't know. Something doesn't feel right about today. And she's probably right. Today may not be a good day for you unless you go right home. It will be fine. Bill tried to sound reassuring through his grimace. Have you heard from Riley yet? Not yet, Joe replied anxiously. Lucy hasn't heard anything from Tip yet either. We're worried. Well, I told you this would happen if we let our daughter hang out with that hoodlum, Bill stated with a smirk, his tone teasing. Honestly, you're impossible sometimes, Jill admonished him, though Bill could hear the smile in her voice. Bill's sarcastic, which means he must trust Hiro now. It's why you love me, Bill teased as his smile grew wider. Oh my goodness, it is so adorable. Please don't let anything go wrong. Suddenly, sirens began wailing all across the campus. God, why do I keep doing this? Sometimes I think this story is just Sometimes I think that this fic is just reading my mind. Bill? Jill questioned, her worried tone returning. Bill, what is that? I don't know, Bill admitted as he glanced around, noticing other people on the campus reacting in a similar manner. I think I need to go. Be careful, Jill said quickly. I love you. I love you too. Bill paused as the lighting around him suddenly changed. Glancing upwards, Bill's eyes widened in shock as he spotted a car tumbling through the air towards him. Jiminy Christmas! Bill shouted in terror as he darted aside, avoiding the falling car as it crashed down on the vehicle next to him, sending shattered glass and bits of metal flying in every direction. I know that what's actually written down is the name of our Lord and Savior, but... If another character... If a fanfic has the words Jesus Christ in it, I'll read it out next time, but... I felt that, at the moment... I would just, say Jiminy Christmas there, because it's like the, I think you'll get it. If not, I'm sorry. Bill! Jill screamed over the phone as it clattered across the asphalt of her husband's grip. Bill, what's happening? Picking himself up off the ground, Bill lifted his head in time to see a jeep full of security guards come rushing by. Following the jeep with his eyes as it went, Bill watched the vehicle take a corner and go racing towards the entrance to the campus. Before it could reach it, though, something slammed into the side of the jeep, sending it rolling across the ground. As it rolled to a stop, something grabbed the hood of the jeep and lifted it up before hurling it to the side, revealing a monster standing behind it. His eyes wide with panic, Bill slowly stood up, his legs shaking with fear. As he watched the monster, Bill noticed a man held in its tentacle-like arm. Looking back at the monster, a chill ran down his spine as he realized the creature was looking right at him. There was a second as Bill and the monster did nothing more than look at each other. Then the creature tossed the man underhand towards Bill, sending the person flying through the air before he came crashing down onto a car next to Bill, forcing him to raise his arms up to defend his face from the glass shards that went flying as a result. Slowly lowering his arm, Bill looked at the person who had landed on the car and was shocked by what he saw. Krei? Bill questioned in shock as the other man groaned in pain and began trying to push himself out of the windshield he had crushed. Anderson? Krei asked groggily before his eyes opened wide. Bill, listen to me! Run! What? What? Bill asked in confusion. They need you! Krei shouted, his voice full of panic. Get out of here! Run! Before Bill could move, a column of microbots suddenly slammed down in front of him. A second later, more columns slammed into the ground all around him, completely encircling him. Looking in every direction, Bill's gaze finally fell on a sight of Yokai riding towards him on another column of microbots. Stopping a short distance away from Bill, Yokai lowered himself back to the ground. Bill Anderson, Yokai questioned as he gestured towards the man in question. Head of the Modulant Project. Who's asking? Bill asked in return, doing his best to put on a brave face. That's not really any of your concern, Yokai replied. What is the fact that I need to borrow your lab. My lab? Bill questioned in confusion. What do you need with my lab? In response, a wave of microbots carried the portal gate into view and set it down on a nearby car, the vehicle buckling under the weight of the device. Bill looked up at the portal gate in shock, but Yokai never took his eyes off the other man. Your lab has the best connection to the campus's power grid, Yokai explained. And, as you may have guessed, I'm going to need a lot of power. Oh my goodness, now Bill has been captured. Oh my goodness. I hope that Riley will be able to help him. Save him, actually. And Krei. And later. Back in Hiro's garage, the group of young adults and children were doing their best to prepare for the trail to come, which had them all on edge. This didn't help Riley any, who was already a bundle of nerves due to worrying about the safety of her father. She currently sat at one of the garage's computers, watching a video play on the screen and occasionally entering a few commands. You are distressed, Baymax's voice suddenly said from directly behind Riley, startling her out of her thoughts. Turning around, Riley found Baymax standing directly behind her, looking down at her with his owlish black eyes. I hate it when he does that! Fear exclaimed. I think we need to tie a bell to this guy or something. Sorry, Baymax, Riley stated as she blinked her eyes a few times. What was that? My scans indicate that you are emotionally distressed, Baymax elaborated. Does this concern the danger your father may be in? Wow, Disgust said sarcastically. We've got a real mind reader here. Yeah, pretty much, Riley confirmed with a sigh. I'm trying to take my mind off of it. Turning his attention away from Riley, Baymax looked at the screen, which was displaying a video of Takahito performing Tai Chi. Are you attempting to learn more Tai Chi? Baymax questioned. No, Riley replied as she gave Baymax's shy grin. But I'm trying to teach you some. I do not understand, Baymax stated. I'm trying to make you a new data chip, Riley explained. One that will let you do Tai Chi. I thought it might help you. But I already know karate, Baymax retorted, holding his hands up in a chopping stance for emphasis. Adorable, Joy giggled. That's true, Riley conceded with a chuckle. But one thing that Takahito-sensei taught me is that there are almost always two ways of doing things. What he calls the closed fist and the open palm. That's why he mastered both Tai Chi and karate. Tai Chi would provide me an alternate set of combat protocols in addition to karate, Baymax surmised. Yeah, pretty much, Riley agreed with a nod before turning back to the computer as it beeped at her. Looks like it's done. I was not aware you possessed programming skills, Baymax commented as Riley pulled a blue data chip out of the computer. I don't, Riley replied as she turned towards Baymax and opened up the data port on his chest. But Hiro already had the program set up, and I do know enough about computers to copy and paste. Reaching up, Riley placed the data chip in one of the empty drive slots before closing the data port again. As the port closed, Baymax straightened up and looked into the middle distance for a moment, before turning his attention back towards Riley. I now know Tai Chi, Baymax stated. Show me, Riley said with a grin as she pushed herself out of her chair. Taking a step away from Riley, Baymax settled himself into a relaxed stance before he began to wave his arms around in slow, gentle motions. After a few moments, he picked up speed, his arms dancing around his body in a quick, fluid motion. Eventually, he came to a stop with his arms thrust out in front of him, before he settled back into his normal stance and turned his attention back to Riley. Have I performed sufficiently? Baymax questioned. Even better than I could have done, Riley admitted with a chuckle. You finished with Baymax's upgrades? Hiro questioned as he walked over to the girl. Yeah, it seems like the new program is running well, Riley commented. I know Tai Chi, Baymax stated as he looked at Hiro. I saw that, Hiro replied with a smirk before turning his attention towards Riley. He's not the only one who's going to get an update, though. What do you mean? Riley questioned. Yes, Hiro, please do explain. In response, Hiro pulled out a gleaming silver headband that Riley instantly recognized. Wait a second, Anger mumbled. Isn't that the neurotransmitter? Riley asked in surprise, glancing between it at Hiro. How'd you get that? This is the original model, Hiro explained. I built a new one after O made his alterations. Oh, this is getting interesting. Wait, what? Fear squeaked. So, this is the one that gave me my powers, Riley surmised, looking at it dubiously. I hope you're not asking me to put that back on. I made corrections to O's corrections, Hiro replied quickly before he pulled a jar out of his pocket and showed it to Riley. Plus, if you're going to need it if you want to use these. Looking at the jar, Riley's eyes widened as she saw that it was filled with microbots. Microbots? She questioned as she turned her attention back to Hiro. You guys made some more. With what little time we had, Hiro explained. We figured if you were going to join us, then we needed something that played to your strengths. Microbots are my strength? Riley questioned. One of them, Hiro replied. You're certainly the most skilled person I've seen using them. Better than me or Callaghan. What a freaking callback! All the way back to the beginning, before the Spit Expo, when she was doing all the Tai Chi motions with the microbots. Oh, incredible! Does this mean that Riley is finally going to join them? I mean, well, definitely. If she's getting that training, then she is joining them. And Tit's coming too. They'll be able to save O too, and then Big Hero 9 will finally be together. But for the time being, I also call them Big Hero 8. Callaghan has a lot more of these than I do, though. Riley counted as she took the jar from Hiro and held it up for him to view. It was the best we could do in such a short time, Hiro sighed. In the end, it's better than nothing. He's not wrong, Disgust commented. So, you want me to come with you this time? Riley questioned while quirking an eyebrow at Hiro. I made a mistake last time, Hiro admitted as he ran a hand through his hair and glanced away from Riley. Who knows? Maybe if we had brought you and Tip along, things would have gone differently. It's not a mistake I'm looking to make again. Well, Hiro, take it from someone who knows. It's always best to focus on the present rather than dwell on the past. Well, when you put it that way, Joyce sighed. One question, though. Do I get a costume? Riley questioned hopefully. We don't have enough time to make you armor or anything, Hiro answered with a sigh. The best I could do is make you one of the black undersuits. Aw, man, Sadness groaned. What a gip, Anger groused. It will have to do, I guess, Riley replied, clearly disappointed. Hold on, I think the black undersuit will be nice. Well, luckily for you, Fargo, I've got something that will brighten up your costume, Fred stated as he walked over to them, a bag held in one of his clawed hands. What's that? Riley questioned as she quirked an eyebrow at Fred. Oh, I get it. I had Tip swing by my house before we came here, Fred replied as he opened the bag and pulled something out before showing it to them. I thought you might like it. Taking the item, Riley smiled as she looked down at the kitsune mask she had seen in Fred's before. Grinning, Riley turned her attention back to Fred. It was from that moment onward that Riley Anderson gained a new power. The power of Shiro Kitsune! Or White Fox, if you want. Bet Shiro Kitsune is an awesome name. It was awesome back then when I said it, and it's awesome now, especially with the mask and the black undersuit and the microbots meshing together. Oh my gosh, Joy whispered. You want me to wear this? Riley questioned. Every superhero needs a costume, Fred replied with a shrug as he grinned back at her. Plus, I think it fits you better than it fits me. Still smiling, Riley turned her attention back to the mask, running her thumbs across its white surface. After taking a moment to tie her hair back into a ponytail, Riley turned the mask around and slipped it over her face, the ceramic pressing against her skin while light filtered in through the two eye slits. Shiro Kitsune! Ima, Shiro Kitsune no Tanjo! Well? Riley questioned as she glanced between Hiro and Fred, the mask muffling her voice. How do I look? You look like you're ready, Hiro answered with a grin. We all are. They're going to save the city. And this time, they'll do it right. Office note, short chapter this time around, but there were some quick scenes I needed to show before we headed to the climax. Well, here's what I think. I think the climax is going to be absolutely spectacular. On the hero side, we've got Hiro, Fred, Wasabi, Gogo, Honey Lemon, and Tip, and Riley Anderson, Shiro Kitsune. On the bad guy side, we've got Yokai / Professor Callaghan, the Gorg, Captain Smek, and the Captive O. So, our plan is basically to save O and beat the baddies. I'm sure it'll go well. I mean, we've got strength in numbers. We basically outnumber those three. But at any rate, guys, thank you very much for watching this, and until next time, I'm the Masked Ranger saying, keep moving forward, and prepare for the final battle.